Very
awesome.
Good.
Okay. Alright, and here is what we look like on the screen. This is what the people will see.
So there's a delay.
Yep, there's a little bit of a delay.
Okay.
But yeah, so thank you for coming.
Nice to be here. Are these all the battleships that are participating?
Yep, these are all the ships in the game. There's quite a few of them. But of course, this is...
Not all battleships.
Not all battleships. There's destroyers, cruisers, battleships, and carriers. So you got the big ones, of course. The Iowa herself.
That is cool.
And our sister Missouri in this hideous camo. Let's put her back to the camo that she's supposed to have.
So do you have a regular time you play, or is it just any time you are on?
So we usually do these Thursdays at 2, and they can run pretty much however long. When we have a guest, it's however long the guest can stand us.
Okay.
Which has been as short as 20 minutes, as long as 2 hours.
Well, it's going to depend on the air conditioning in here.
Yeah, I have a hunch.
Yeah, okay.
It's not a helping fact that we're beneath the missile deck of it, but we make life do. So, welcome to November Echo Papa Mike, and here we are with a very special guest. In fact, the first person who is not crew or volunteer on the Iowa, but
I walked over.
She walked over. She's a very dear friend of ours from very close to us. This is Marifrances Trivelli. She is the director of the Los Angeles Maritime Museum, which is 3 berths that way.
Right.
If I remember correctly. Which tells the history of the Port of Los Angeles, and as well as several other awesome things that hopefully we'll get to if we have time and the heat isn't too bad. So, Marifrances, welcome. Thank you for stopping by to talk with us. Why don't you tell me, because I started volunteering at the Maritime Museum in like 2011, 2012, and you were already there, and so far as I know, you're kind of the presence that's always been there, but I know that's
not that old, but
I know that's not actually true. So tell us a little bit, how did you get your start?
So I actually started working in museums on the East Coast, and I was at Mystic Seaport Museum for many years. They did not really focus on military vessels at that time, so it was very interesting to come out west and learn all about the Port of LA and the maritime history, which includes the naval here, that I think is oftentimes overlooked in favor of anything east of the Rockies. So I'm happy to be here. We have great next door neighbors in the Iowa, and together we try to educate our visitors in a really fun way.
Excellent. And you talk about a lot of really awesome stuff too. Like there's some of the exhibits about, I know you have the Navy Hall about the Long Beach Naval Station. You have the history of the fishing and canning industry.
Right. So Nick is one of our tour guides, and he knows this information. So he's doing a very good job summarizing. But basically, it's always amazing to us how little the visitors might know coming in. And I'm sure you find that here on the ship too. But so the Pacific Fleet was here in LA Long Beach before being sent off to Pearl Harbor. So a lot of those ships that are so famous to people, Arizona, New Mexico, California, they were all here, and they were anchored outside the breakwater. The sailors would come in on Liberty. They were part of the community, and that was a big part of LA maritime history, but has sort of been forgotten when the story's told, and people think, oh, it's just about the attack on Pearl Harbor.
Right. But it's actually far, far more than that, right? Yeah.
So are you actually playing the game now as we're speaking?
So I'm actually watching the game. I haven't clicked battle yet, which would actually take me into a battle, but I'm here to introduce a ship that's very near and dear to the museum's heart, the Baltimore class, but of course we're talking about a very, very special Baltimore, the USS Los Angeles, CA-135.
Yay! And I don't believe she ever had that dazzle look, but this is a very cool image.
Yeah.
So this is the ship in earlier times, before they had the Regulus missiles.
Oh yeah.
We had a little aircraft in the end. But yeah, so the USS Los Angeles, as Nick says, a Baltimore-class cruiser, or was, built as a result of a war bond drive from the people of LA. I don't think we'd ever see that kind of spirit for that kind of project again. But basically, citywide bond drive. If you bought enough war bonds in the 40s, the ship would be named for your city. So LA went over the top. We have a lot of cool items in our library about the bond drive parades and the contests, and everybody got involved, and the parade with the paper mache ship to encourage sales. So bond drive was successful. The ship was commissioned. The mayor of LA at the time was there in Philadelphia for the ceremony, Fletcher Bowron, and built a little too late to participate in World War II. It was meant for World War II, but did not get commissioned until 45, so late for that. Ended up doing the shakedown cruise and some Westpacks, but then in Korea was among the first vessels to go under enemy fire.
Wow.
And I'm skipping ahead in the story, but the mainmast of the ship was preserved when the ship was broken up at Terminal Island, which is right across the channel. That mast still has some damage from enemy shelling, which you can see. And then the LA has another interesting record, which is, the Navy says, believed to be the ship that sustained the longest continuous bombardment up until that time, which was 31 days under fire.
Wow.
During Korea. So that was its serious time. The rest of the time was Westpac cruises, and you know how the world had changed after World War II, and then goodwill visits to Japan, and a lot of the Asian neighbors, Philippines, going to Hawaii also.
Nice.
And then eventually being declared, you know, past her use and broken up for scrap here in the harbor in 1975. That was just around the time that our museum was starting to develop, and one of our founders was a gentleman named Roy Coates, who was a salvage officer at National Metal and Steel. And he was a Navy guy, and he hated to see Navy ships broken up because he felt part of the history would die with every ship that was gone. And he decided to save one thing from every ship he worked on. But in the case of the LA, it was more than like an ashtray. It was the main mast, the anchor, the bow peak, the flying bridge. So a lot of that ship is in or around our museum today.
So, of course, the main mast here.
Right.
And there's actually the flying bridge right over here.
Very good.
Can you see? And, of course, the bow.
And what's cool about that bow peak that I think a lot of our visitors don't understand is that it's not the section that includes, you know, the hawse pipe area.
Right.
It's only that tip at the end, and then they painted the hull number further down. But if you looked at that in terms of scale, it's not right. It's just a little sample section of the bow peak.
It's basically like just this bit, right?
It's like even less. It's like a triangle at the end.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So just...
Yeah. So if you go look at it next time, you'll see. Like,
nice.
Yeah.
And of course, one of the things that the LA, that at least I was surprised to find, is that it seems to have shown up in a couple comics.
Okay, you told me about that, but I have not seen this book.
Oh, you haven't seen this. So, this is a comic book called Tintin. And my grandmother, or the person who wrote this, a man named Hergé, he's Belgian. And this was actually a Belgian comic. My grandmother, when her family fled Poland before the war started, they sailed in Belgium.
Okay.
Because they thought it was going to be like World War I, and it wasn't, and that was fun. But she loved Tintin comics because that was what kept her occupied during the war. And so I happened to find a bunch of these in my grade school library that I had checked out, and wound up purchasing the collection. And shortly after I started volunteering at the Maritime Museum in 2012, I opened up one of the stories, the Red Sea Sharks, and found none other than the USS Los Angeles.
I have not seen this.
You haven't seen this?
No, I've heard of Tintin, maybe from you, but I've not seen this.
That's right. I gave this to Francine, the one that I donated to the library. But yeah.
Oh, then probably our librarian has it.
I'm sure he does.
Yes.
Yeah, it specifically says the USS Los Angeles. And actually, in the panels, you could even see its hull number, 135.
That is cool.
Which is pretty cool. So, my best guess is that somehow Hergé...
So this was after World War II.
This was after World War II.
Yeah.
He had actually been vacationing in the Mediterranean when he started writing that story. So my best guess is the Los Angeles was on one of its little trips into the Mediterranean. And was spotted by Hergé, and I guess he said, sure, that's good enough.
That's great. Wow. Okay, well, if you brought this to our library, it is there. Mm-hmm. In addition to our exhibits, we have a really fun research library with a lot of cruise books. And before World War II, they didn't really have cruise books, but we have a lot of sailor albums, too. So we have one, for example, from the California, that shows a lot of the guys enjoying themselves informally on deck, holding the life ring, and you just think how many of these guys then went over to Pearl Harbor and what happened to them. But it's a very cool library.
Very nice. So I'm going to click the battle button, which will bring us into fun and excitement for me. Well, fun and excitement for me, fun and hilarity for all of our viewers.
Yeah. So how can you see who is playing or who's watching?
So I can see who's watching by this little number over here. This is actually our stream as it's broadcasting right now.
Okay. Well, it's like 400 degrees here in this ship. So
yeah, because right now we're beneath the missile deck, which gets and radiates all the heat. Yeah. So we'll try and go as fast as we can. Okay. But before you get
before I collapse.
Before we faint and collapse and die on stream, because that probably
that'd go viral.
It would go viral, but we won't be there to enjoy it, and we want to be there to enjoy it. So, while we're there, the LA Maritime Museum obviously talks about a lot more than just the Navy. It talks about all of Los Angeles, in particular San Pedro, as well as Terminal Island. So, what's some of the awesome things that you have there?
A couple things. You might not know that San Pedro is part of LA, in LA Harbor, and that Chicken in the Sea and Star-Kissed canneries started right here. And those workers really built, an international brand that started right here. So we have a large exhibit called Caught, Canned, and Eaten, which basically sums up what that's about. And that's very entertaining. We have hands-on elements in that. We just opened a new exhibit called Taminaru, and it's called A Day in the Life of a Japanese-American Fishing Village, because prior to World War II, we had about 3,000 Japanese fishermen, many of whom were married to cannery workers, who lived on Terminal Island in homes that were owned by the canneries. They were very successful fishermen. In fact, if you ever had to read the book Farewell to Manzanar, when I was in high school, that was required reading. Her family lived on Terminal Island, so it's definitely worth a second read. Of course, 100% of that community was evacuated after Pearl Harbor. All the fishermen came under suspicion by the U.S. government. They were evacuated. Most of them went to Manzanar. In the meantime, the military took over the harbor and Terminal Island, and in the process demolished those homes. So when the war ended, the Japanese did not have a community to come back to. Yeah. So the exhibit is about what their lives were like before World War II. So it's real insights into this community that today is not well known. Yeah. But at the time was a really significant participant in the fishing industry, which was one of the tops in the country.
Wow. And also, unfortunately, somewhat topical subjects with some of the stuff that's been going on
definitely,
today.
And I have to say the exhibit's getting a lot of attention, a lot of visitors, many of whom had never been here and were interested in that topic, but came and then enjoyed the rest of the museum while they were here.
Very nice. Yeah, that's something before I started working here, I really knew almost nothing about. Chat's having fun.
Yeah. Okay, so that goes on while the game's being played.
This is people commenting in game. This is actually people commenting on our stream. Okay. So this asks, isn't the Maritime Museum just down the canal from Iowa? It sure is.
Canal?
The
the
harbor, I guess.
Sure, that's right. You could walk. Mm-hmm. Park once and walk.
Imagining Iowa scooting down late at night and asking for snacks. Well, definitely for air conditioning. That I have found that is a very big
perk of the job.
Perk of the job, especially during the summer, like on a day like this. Right. People coming from the Iowa, and they're completely exhausted. Down there, the LA Maritime Museum, they have air conditioning. They sell bottled water in the gift shop.
Hey, are you working this weekend?
I am working this weekend.
We have popsicles in the freezer, but that's just for staff.
Shh. Okay. Iowa has no AC. During the 40s and 50s, the ship did not have air conditioning. In fact, even when the ship was in service in the 80s, most of the parts didn't have AC.
I wanted to ask you about that because I was told, then they got air conditioning in the 80s, but it wasn't ship-wide. There's no reason to air condition your munitions?
Yeah.
Right? Who were the lucky officers who got air conditioning? The captain's cabin.
Far fewer than most would hope, I'm guessing, but yeah, so today we have actually put in more air conditioning units, particularly over the tour route, but unfortunately, because we are off the tour route, we are forced to suffer.
What about for the overnight program? Do you have air conditioning in there?
We do have air conditioning inside the overnight compartments. We got that last year, and that's actually something we're really, really happy
because otherwise no one would want to stay twice.
Oh, God. That was not fun at all. So remember when I said fun and excitement for all the people watching us, but not for me?
So you're getting hit.
Oh, I'm dying. Yeah, I have 800 health. I'm about to die, so.
Wow.
And I'm dead.
Oh, so then what happens? You have to come back as another ship?
Yeah, so after that, basically I have to wait until the game ends to go back in this ship. So what I usually do is quit out of the game and go back in another ship.
Okay.
So.
Do they track your participation?
They do. It counts in my statistics, so I have a very terrible win-loss rate. Yes. So yeah. Oh, the magazines always had the magazines had air conditioning to keep the powder cool. Any place that was inside, like deep inside the ship, where sailors were expected to stay there all day, had air conditioning. So like the radio room had AC, the flag plot and so on had AC. But most of the sailors had to do without.
Okay.
So, oh well. Let's go out in our younger sister ship. So, what are some of the other things that the Maritime Museum talks about? Because I know they have all along the ramp, that huge story of San Pedro.
Basically, unlike some harbors that are natural harbors, you don't have to do much to conduct trade there and set up your operation. LA Harbor is mostly man-made. So it used to be a very shallow mud flat. And if you had any kind of heavy-duty cargo ship, for example, you could not just pull in and tie up. You had to anchor way out and then get a smaller ship to bring your pieces in. And it was really a pain. And if you ever read Richard Henry Dana, 2 years before the mast, he talks about that. Because he was involved in the hide trade in San Pedro. So we went from that to getting rid of islands that were in the way of navigation, such as Dead Man's Island, constantly dredging and enlarging Terminal Island. And right now our main channel is 55 feet. Used to be about 12.
Nice.
So as the ships get bigger and bigger, and you have post-Panamax ships, which means they're too large to go through the Panama Canal, the port is always evolving and mostly now to accommodate container ships.
Wow.
So if you look at old photos of the area, you just cannot imagine. If you came from the past, you're a time traveler, you would just not have any idea of where you were. So we do have a very cool kind of March of Time photo presentation as you go up between the two ramps in the building, just trying to communicate that. Yeah. And the other big point we try to communicate with people is, you might not be a sailor, you might not be in the Navy or Merchant Marine, but you have maritime life affects your life, because where did you get all the stuff that came from Target or Walmart or It came here in a container on a ship, and if you're here on the East Coast, most likely right past the museum windows.
Wow.
So all that stuff that ends up in the store, we always tell our school kids, go home and look at the tags and flip over your device, see where it was made, all that.
Nice.
Mostly from Asia, mostly got here by ship. So that's news to people, and that kind of lets them think about the interconnectedness of everything.
It's huge, and yet at the same time an incredibly tiny world out there.
True.
So how did the Maritime Museum get its start? Because it wasn't always a maritime museum, was it?
The building, if you're into Art Deco and Streamlined Modern, it is a very cool building. It was built to be a ferry terminal. Right now, our community has the distinctive green bridge that links both sides of the channel. But that wasn't always there. So prior to the bridge being built, you could use the ferry system to go from San Pedro, where we are, to Terminal Island. And what was on Terminal Island? We talked about the fish canneries, but of course the naval installations, a lot of shipyards, especially during World War II, emergency shipbuilding. It was also your portal into Long Beach, which had lots of shopping and amenities also. So people used the ferry, and our building was designed to accommodate that traffic. If you had a car, you could drive it and roll it right on to the ferry boat, and if not, you would just walk upstairs and board from the upper deck. So when the bridge came in, that was the end of the ferry service, and the building's future was sort of in doubt for a while. It was the 70s, a lot of old stuff was being torn down. Dangerous time if you're an old building. But luckily, the people of San Pedro very vocal about what they like, and they like that building. So they successfully lobbied to have it turned into a maritime museum. So we opened in 1980, and here we are.
Nice.
Never dreaming how technology would change. I have to say, we just renovated a gallery upstairs, and we now have more than one electrical outlet on the entire wall.
Woohoo!
So, yeah. So little things like that, and how we are responding to all the technology that's available to us, that has really changed.
Very nice. And how long have you been at the Maritime Museum?
Been there 19 years.
Wow,
everyone says.
Well, I mean, you really... Well, at least today, oh my God. Certainly today.
Danger.
Yes. It's like, yeah. Let's see. How can I completely insult my boss and
think carefully
and ruin the rest of my time? Yes.
We're no longer in need of Nick's services. What was your question?
So, how long have you been at the Maritime Museum?
19 years.
19 years.
That's what I said.
And because today you really are the face of the museum, to be perfectly honest.
Well,
I mean, you
think
kind
that's
of personify.
Because of our... You can stop there.
Okay.
I think it's because of our... we have a YouTube series. Is that what you're getting at?
Yes.
Okay. So the Port of LA came to me with an idea, which we thought was great, and it's called Maritime Minute. Knowing that the attention span now of the average person is about 60 seconds or fewer seconds.
Yes.
We have little 1-minute programs about different aspects of port history. And it's called Maritime Minute. So if you go to YouTube and type in Maritime Minute, you will see the playlist. So again, people say, wow, I was amazed. I didn't know those facts. I liked the format. It was nice and quick. We have a lot of visuals.
Mm-hmm.
So that's brought the museum a lot of attention too. And a way to reach visitors who maybe live too far to visit in person.
Oh, yeah. Which also, by the way, is one of the reasons why we started doing this, to bring the Iowa to people who can't really see it. You know, people who live on the East Coast or even in other countries.
Right.
Who really, you know, they don't have a battleship in other countries. They don't have, you know, at least the Iowa over there.
Right.
I mean, they know of Missouri, obviously, but even a lot of people are surprised to find, you know, Wisconsin and Norfolk, or New Jersey and Camden, or so many others. And so one of the reasons why we started this was actually we saw what you had done with your Maritime Minute, and we said, that looks really good. How about we do that?
Oh, but in this format.
In video game format, because we like playing video games.
Yeah. We found out through Facebook that our tugboat has a sister tug in France.
Wow.
That is also a museum. And now we've been communicating with that crew. So that's a really fun thing that probably would not have happened.
Yeah.
You know, if we didn't go online and promote our tug.
Son of a gun, right? Oh, so one of our guys actually just posted the YouTube link to the Maritime Minute.
Quick. Okay.
Yep, that is Danny, the wonderful gentleman who I sacrificed to interview you.
Oh, yeah. Well, he was leaving, right?
He was leaving. Yeah, he's actually going for his master's degree in maritime history.
Excellent.
Or not maritime history, but museum.
Museum and education. Mm-hmm. That's great. All right. Hi, Danny.
Hi, Danny. Yeah. Welcome from the West Coast. It's nice and hot. Hope it's a little bit cooler over there. Probably isn't, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So let's see if I can snipe a few people over there.
You know what they look like when they did these graphics? It looks like those waterline recognition models from World War II.
It really does look like it.
Do you think they shot those? I don't know how they prepared this, because it does look just... We have a lot of those, by the way, too.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's what it looks like.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that those models would come in very, very handy in a game like this.
You know, we have in our collection, we have several complete sets, not just American, but British and Japanese. And what a lot of the servicemen told me was they came back from the war and gave those to their kids to play with. So they all got scattered and destroyed, but we have some complete kits.
Very nice. Mm-hmm. So, there's a comment, can you see the Twitch chat? Yes, you can. Oh, do you have a recognition model of the Azumo?
I will have to check.
Yes.
Do you have a way to answer people later? Because I can let you know.
Well, I can post them on our social media page. So we have our own Facebook page.
Right.
Canfield 1 is separate from the larger Iowa Museum in case they needed to drop us like a hot potato.
Right.
Because I guess he got burned by something like that in the past. But
okay, so I'll send it. How about I send it to Nick?
All right. And I will post it on our Facebook page, which Danny has just posted the link. Good job, Danny. Facebook.com/NEPMTwitch.
Hello.
Let's see. Mike's down below, and so is Jonathan.
Yes. John Williams and Canfield have both left.
Oh, they left already?
Yeah, they left for the day.
Life's tough.
Yeah.
Let's see you later, guys.
Take care. Yet another lost crewman.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't rag on them that hard because I remember...
because you're speaking to the whole planet.
Well, one, because I'm speaking to the whole planet. But two... Okay, one, because I'm in public.
Yes.
Two, because when I first started here, I got lost every single day for the first 2 months.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. I had to learn these bullseyes really, really bad. It's actually funny because, you know, I do the overnights on here. I had, last year, an active duty Navy veteran who came on board with his son for a scout troop. And when I said, you know, everyone stay with the group, he's like, I don't need to do that. I'm actually in the Navy.
That's not safe. Yeah.
I found him one deck down and all the way forward. And it's like, you know, there's a really good reason.
So you don't let the kids go, you know, use the head alone or anything. They might get lost.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Yeah. We say, you know, if you need to use the bathroom, if you need something out of your bunk, that's fine. Let us know. We're always happy to help, but please don't go wandering off on your own. Right. The good news is that I think because of the story that I tell of the active duty Navy veteran, they're a lot more responsive in actually asking us. It's like if the professional can get totally lost.
Right.
You know,
was he on an Iowa class ship?
He was not.
Oh, well, hey.
Yeah. He's in the modern day Navy or like a frigate or something and thought that, that means I can find my way around a real ship. No, you can't.
A real ship. Dun-dun-dun.
I can be a little bit.
Yeah, this is really, these graphics are really good.
These graphics are really good. It helps that these all the computer equipment you see here was donated by us, Danny, or some of the others that help us out. You know, we do this for volunteer hours. We take no money from the Iowa.
Wow.
We wouldn't mind taking money from the Iowa.
This is outside of your regular job here.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And so, you know, so it goes. But, it's one of the cool things because I have this game at my home computer, which is like a laptop that I got for grad school several years ago. And so obviously it cannot run anywhere near the graphics like this. So,
this is impressive.
Yeah, being able to see that is really awesome. So right now, I'm going to try and use this other battleship as a shield against that destroyer because I don't want to eat some torpedoes.
Hi.
I'm hoping... the game
ended,
and we won! Yay! Finally.
Who is that?
Yeah, sometimes people just... There are strange noises coming from us. It happens. Someone's saying we need to do a division. We need to pair up with other people. Get 3 other people to all sail Iowas.
Oh, there you go.
So it's like all 4 Iowas sailing together. So we do have a question.
Okay.
What would be your dream artifact, or if you had a dream exhibition that you want to put in?
Oh boy,
what would that be?
Oh my goodness, we were just talking about this. Oh my goodness. Anything related to the harbor? That's the question. And what would that be?
Any dream exhibit that you wish?
Oh my... Well, this is way off topic because we're on a battleship, but the Angels Gate Lighthouse, which is at the end of the breakwater leading into the port, for many years was what they called bachelor quarters. Unmarried men would live there. They wouldn't allow families because it's a little remote. So there was one lighthouse keeper who was a real character, and he would collect the driftwood that piled up, around the base of the lighthouse, and he would make music boxes. The LA Times wrote a whole article about this guy, and he made, in those days, Victrolas, talking about the round recordings that you would play music on.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so he was known for this collection of really ornate music boxes, and one of them looked just like the lighthouse, and the tower would flash. We don't know what happened to any of those things. The last information we have of him in the lighthouse was that he needed extra time to pack when he was transferred.
Right.
It would be so fantastic to find one of those and get it to work again. Because we do have the lens from the lighthouse in the museum. But to me, that was just like the most fantastic, strange thing that we could present. That's just one idea. I have others, but yes.
Oh, tell us.
Actually, he received the Congressional Medal of Honor in the Spanish-American War.
Wow.
So he was quite a guy, but he did this. It was very boring in that lighthouse, during the day. So he would pursue his hobbies. So anyway, that would be one kind of dream artifact. I have no idea where that is. I tried to track down his family. They ended up in South America, and the trail went cold. So I don't know what happened to those.
But that would be your...
One of them.
One of them?
One of them, yeah.
Oh, you have others.
Well, probably. I'll think of them as soon as this program ends.
Or at 3 in the morning.
That is a cool thing. Yeah, but that to me would be like such a cool thing. Because there was a time when the public could visit that lighthouse on a regular schedule, and he would crank up and play all the music for the guests.
Wow. Wow, very nice. So, actually, speaking of the Spanish-American War, you guys have a pretty fun artifact from that, didn't you?
Oh, it's outside.
Yes.
Oh, the cannon. Actually, Nick really likes that cannon.
I do.
So, the oldest artifact is actually outside, and it was cast in France in the 1750s. Am I right? I should know this. Okay.
I think so.
Ended up in Cuba. Ended up being a prize in the Spanish-American War, brought back to LA without its cart, I think, and displayed in Pershing Square, which is a park in downtown Los Angeles. And then in the 1950s, people decided to make most of that park into a parking lot and removed a lot of the monuments. And the cannon went to Travel Town, which is a transportation museum in Griffith Park, which is a park in Los Angeles. And then it was deemed more appropriate to come to the LA Maritime Museum, and there it sits. So it's our oldest artifact, and it is outside, has great patina, does not fire, has been demilitarized, but people do really enjoy it. It has beautiful carvings.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, we are going to launch a new website in the next few months. We just got a grant to completely redo our site. And one of the things that we want to do is share a lot more photos of what we have.
Wow.
Because right now that cannon is not on the website. So hopefully, before the end of this year, you'll be able to check that out online in detail.
Definitely. And one of the other cool things that's actually in between the Maritime Museum and the Iowa now is one of New Jersey's old barrels.
That is a funny story. So we have a 16-inch gun barrel that was taken off the New Jersey during one of her overhauls in the 1990s at the Long Beach Naval Yard. The same gentleman that got us the USS Los Angeles mainmast decided that we should also have a gun barrel and projectiles, 2 projectiles. So they also have been demilitarized. They are in the park. You can view them. They are right now pointing at Iowa. That wasn't the intention. The guns came here before Iowa, but it is a very cool addition to the park. Yeah. In fact, we were contacted by somebody from the New Jersey who's doing an inventory of all the gun barrels and wanted some background from us.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
I knew that it was there. I didn't know the story behind it. So
yeah, we have some neat photos of it being mounted and all of the underground supports they had to build for that. It's pretty amazing.
Nice. There's a comment here, sisterly rivalry. Maybe.
Now, you know, I was like having a cool neighbor who has moved in, who shares your hobbies, but also has the pickup truck that can help you lift heavy things and move them. So we've often called for help, and 6 or 8 guys show up in blue jumpsuits and help us with our exhibit install.
Amen.
Yeah.
You got, well, I gotta love ops. They keep us alive.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, they are.
I think I can answer a few more questions, and then this heat is really unbearable.
Yeah, this
you
really
can tell
is.
I never served in the Navy, but
neither have I. And my grandfather actually expressly forbid me from joining the service.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh, is that yours?
Yeah, I got hit by a Yamato over there.
Okay, so that person was asking about the recognition model.
Yes.
We will look that up, sure.
We will look that up. So, yeah,
it's hard to play strategically and have a conversation, I have to say.
It is hard to do that, but, you know, I do what I can. There was one other guy who I was hoping wouldn't be here today. Unfortunately, he got called away to do a different tour.
Okay.
And so he wound up being busy, as is...
Mm-hmm.
You know,
well, I could come back after we open the Navy Hall again. Submarine exhibit.
Oh, yeah.
And talk about that.
Oh, yeah. The other USS.
The other USS Los Angeles was a submarine,
mm-hmm.
which has been decommissioned in 2010, and the Navy said, make a wish list of artifacts. So we gave them the wish list. Most of the stuff was deemed confidential, and we didn't get it. But what we did get were items from the berthing areas and the galley. So we're doing the exhibit about life on board.
Nice.
Basically how cramped it was. But and we have been in touch with a lot of the LA sub-vets who have kept items that they acquired while they lived on the boat, and we'll have those in the berths. So that's pretty cool.
Very nice. So anything else that's fun going on at the Maritime? Anything?
Fleet Week, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
We are having a booth in the Expo Center of Fleet Week. And we will have passes for anyone that wants to walk down to the Maritime Museum and check that out while they are here in the harbor. So that is the last week of August. You definitely want to go to lafleetweek.com and check it out. But we will be there with some artifacts and some hands-on things to do in the cruise terminal.
Very nice.
You're welcome to sign up for a shift in the air-conditioned cruise terminal.
Woohoo!
Yeah, and just to welcome people and let them know the Maritime Museum is open and open extended hours during Fleet Week, and go on over.
Very nice. And we'll have the handy little sign that we made before that said, hey, we sell water here.
Yes, we'll bring that sign too.
Very good.
All right.
So, thank you again for joining us. Thank you also for putting up with the heat.
Yeah.
And thank you guys all for joining us. Hope you had a great time. Be sure to check out, what was it again? The Harbor Weekly?
Maritime Minute.
Maritime
on
Minute.
YouTube.
Maritime Minute on YouTube. As well, check out us. We are Anchor Management.
That was very funny. I saw that.
We have quite a sense of humor. As well as our Facebook account, facebook.com/NEPM Twitch. So, thank you all again for coming, and we hope to see you again next time. Take care, everybody, and have a great rest of the day.